Perfect.
We are locked and loaded, boys.
Come on, Judgy. Come on, sexy judge.
We are locked and loaded.
Did you see that New Era is messing around with the hats again?
Are they?
They might be putting another gigantic New Era logo on the other side, and baseball purists are very upset about it.
I mean, I would be upset about it. I don't need another fucking New Era logo on the hats.
I don't agree with the logo being on the hat in the first place.
Absolutely.
It's up because it's almost like advertising. It's free advertising.
And that's just not necessary.
It's not.
Okay. Gab, what did you put on?
I put on Fast 5.
Do you want to put on Fast 5, or was there something else better than this?
Well, Fast 5 is technically a heist movie.
Technically, all of them are heist movies?
No, they're not. Not all of them are heist movies. That is absolutely false. Tokyo Drift is just a commercial for Tokyo.
No, hold on. Let me correct that. Anything after 3 is a heist movie.
I still disagree. 4 is still about racing in the desert.
Not really.
It wasn't it? Didn't they just like race in a tunnel in a cave?
God, I haven't seen 4 in so long. Because 4 is when they reignited the
4 was
franchise.
when they went, we've been messy, guys. Let's get this back on track. Then they failed because 4 wasn't that good. And then 5, they were like...
5 did really well.
Yeah, because they were like, we can't keep racing cars. It's not 2003 anymore, so we got to refocus.
I mean, we're about to hit 9. So I would say at this point now, the majority of them are heist movies.
Well, no, the majority of them now have just gotten goddamn ridiculous.
Yes,
I'm pretty sure...
Well, that's a whole different thing.
I'm pretty sure Ludacris has gone... basically on record to hint that the next one's going cars in space.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
I mean, look, the reason why I say that is because I think that the Fast and Furious, all 9 movies should get their own episode.
You might be right about that.
All 9.
Wait, what?
In one episode.
No, I'm not doing all 9 in one episode. That's fucking crazy. Who's going to sit with us for 3 hours to talk about...
I mean, we're not going to dissect every single movie, but like... it deserves its own episode.
I mean, I suppose you could do a whole episode talking about the culture and Dom's unrealistic voice.
Sure, yeah. And the characters, and we don't have to literally dissect the way we do.
The pro-Latino-ness of it.
Yeah, things like that.
Yeah.
So look for that in the future, a full Fast 5, or Fast and the Furious episode.
Sure, fine.
And welcome to the show.
Here goes. 17 Waverly Podcast.
Wow, there you go.
We are here. We are live. This is Ram Gabinangelo.
We're
17
here.
Waverly Podcast.
What's going on?
What's
up, gentlemen?
Episode 68.
Episode 68. We are back.
Wow.
Heist.
This is why I put Fast 5 on, because this week we're going to talk about some heist movies. We're talking crime,
We're
guys.
going to really get into crime
and cliches. In the bank robbery genre.
Correct. Now, there are a lot of heist movies.
There's a lot of heist movies with a lot of these cliches.
I mean, granted, I'll tell you this. There's going to be a lot of, and we were talking about this a little earlier on the side here, Angelo, but there's a lot of movies for each one of these categories that we're doing.
Yes, there is.
So
It is
very hard to pick the ones that we're going to watch. Obviously, the people that are listening, they're probably going to have their own favorite heist movie if they like heist movies. But also remember that we're probably going to do multiple episodes of each category since there are so many movies.
Right.
For this particular episode, we picked 3 heist movies that I thought would be a good start.
Okay.
We kept it New York and Boston with these.
That's true. That is very true.
So I guess we'll start with the town first because that's the one I just saw. Like I just finished there before we finished.
So it's fresh in the memory.
Yeah.
This is my favorite of the 3.
Yes,
for sure.
Gab saw half of it.
Okay.
But he saw the majority of the main points.
The gist.
I think really the only stuff that he missed was like he missed the robbery of the armored car, which I think is one of the best scenes.
It's an amazing scene, and it's such an amazing like action scene.
Yes.
With like the choreographing of the cars doing all that stuff in these tight Boston streets.
Oh, absolutely. Not only
Like-
that, but like the end of it where like they get out of the car and they're all
It's
wearing
hilarious.
masks, and the cop is sitting by himself in the car, and he literally looks at all four of them, and they're staring at him with the masks on and guns, and he's just like,
Yeah. He just turns his
he
head.
just turns his head.
It's such a fantastic
Yes.
scene.
So, the town. We'll start with Boston.
Pueblo.
We'll start with Boston because I hate Boston.
Love this
So
movie. Amazing.
stupid.
And this is
baseball.
heavy baseball influence. The final heist is at Fenway.
That I love that part because the way like that old guy, that creepy old florist, is like,
Yes.
we're gonna take down the Cathedral of Boston.
Yeah,
I'm like,
yeah,
oh
yeah.
god,
It's cool.
It's
like
the truth.
It's great how they did it and how they set it up. I do love that they kind of glorify Fenway that way. So
Yeah.
it's great. I like it.
I mean, the movie does feel kind of like what I was able to see of it. Does feel like a love letter to Boston.
I was gonna say, do you feel like this film needed that love story in the background, or could have gotten like full tilt?
It
Just
has
pure
to,
action.
It has to have the love story because we're talking about heist cliches. And,
You're right,
and
yeah.
you just
You're
don't
right.
you don't have a badass thief without a
So did
squeeze.
you not see the ending of the film?
He did.
Yeah, I saw
did
the
see the
ending.
ending, okay.
I need to see the ending
Okay.
because you just don't have. Again, you need your badass to have his walk into the sunset
Right.
and go, baby.
No one.
I left you all this cash.
Right.
I committed
no one is
crime
better.
for you.
So
No one is more badass than Affleck, aka Batman. Let's get that out of the way quickly.
quick synopsis.
Absolutely. And there's our drop.
Exactly.
Yeah. Quick synopsis. So the town is basically about a movie about four guys. They're a little squad. They're from a
Southie
town.
projects.
A town in Massachusetts near Boston called
Charlottetown?
Charlestown.
Charleston.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Charleston.
Charleston. It's basically like, I don't want to call it the slums. I don't want to offend anybody, but it's
Yeah.
not.
But
it's
it's
not like
slummy.
the best.
Yeah, it's not the greatest neighborhood.
not the best.
In,
No.
in you know.
But they
the
still
area.
try to make it. They still try to really paint it in the best light. Like
Right.
you tried to sell us like this is Charleston and it's
Right.
slummy. But we have Blake Lively with smudged eyeliner.
Correct.
And
Correct.
it's-
I love
and I'm
her in this
that's
movie.
you couldn't come on. Blake Lively, even with like her hair messed up and looking like she just finished puking from alcohol intoxication, like
Right.
still looked.
Yes,
do,
absolutely. She was not great. Her Boston accent was not great.
No, she was in
It
and out
wasn't
of
the
that.
best.
But,
I think that's why she had to like slur half the words.
Yeah. But she was supposed to be a pill popping, drug.
Yeah, so it worked.
Drug mule. So it's
Terrible
fine.
mother.
Terrible mother. Yes.
Terrible mother.
So the movie is about these four guys. They grew up in this area, and this area is notorious for basically breeding criminals.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's part of their life growing up is knowing crime and
Just being around it.
the main guy Ben Affleck, his father was also a criminal a thief that robbed banks and shit too. So it's kind of like runs in the family.
Right. He was in jail, right?
So
He's already incarcerated.
Yeah, he was in jail already. He went to jail because he got caught robbing some bank, I think, and then he ended up killing a person there. So he's been in jail for a while. Ben Affleck's shitty childhood for this kid.
Not the best.
Mom died of a suicide from drug overdose.
Well, that's the thing. It's like they kind of leave you hanging on that. Like,
Right.
did she actually leave? Because that's why he goes to Florida just to try to look for her.
Yeah.
But it's almost is implied
No,
that
but
she's a
then-
ghost.
Right,
He says.
but then at the end, the florist confirms what happens.
Right.
So anyway, so Ben Affleck is the movie starts with them robbing a bank. He meets this bank manager there, and they kind of take her. They put her in the car as like a
Yeah. Rebecca Hall ends up being like a hostage.
as like a hostage, right? And they took her as a just in case they
Right.
got caught or stopped in the streets, that they could say, all right, well, we have a hostage, so you can't do anything to us. Luckily,
And
they
it-
didn't need it, so they ended up, just dumping her at the beach somewhere.
Yeah, they basically told her to start walking until she
Right.
felt water.
Right.
But like she wasn't in any real danger at that point.
But either way, that creates like a PTSD type of thing for
Right.
these people.
And then so like part of their gig is one of them has to shadow her for a couple weeks just to make sure she's not
not talking
or
to
just to
cops
know
or
like
the
who
feds.
right. So of course Affleck's the one who's like tailing her, and then they end up meeting and he ends up talking to her, which he shouldn't be.
Yes, they
And
fall in
things-
love, all the bullshit.
yeah.
Wait, I have a
And things
question. Because she had the PTSD from the event.
Yes.
So why did she forgive Affleck for the trauma? Just because he was sexy?
I don't know.
This is where it gets. That's where it gets.
Because he was sexy. Like,
It's
that's
It's
love,
dicey.
Gab.
No,
love.
it's because it's Ben Affleck's
Because
face.
we don't know. There's no point in the movie where you know what time stamps. So you don't know if this is like a year later, 2 years later, like in between these like jobs. You know what I mean?
True.
So it could be that like, all right, they start dating in the movie. There's three specific robberies in the movie. The first one where he meets her.
Mm-hmm.
The second one is they rob a armored truck.
That's the one that goes wrong.
That's the one that goes wrong. Correct.
Well, actually,
I mean, they get away, but
they get away, but like they didn't. Like they ended up having to kill that guy,
Right.
the guy that's actually in the armored truck
Correct,
because he wasn't
correct.
supposed to leave his post and he did.
Yes, and
And then you have the Fenway one.
yeah, and then the Fenway one, right? So in between all that time, you don't know how much time goes by, but you do see they do show the relationship of him and the girl, kind of like building and all this bullshit. Even his friend, who's Jeremy Renner plays his like best friend growing up, who's also part of the crew that robs. He even sees them out together and like is like, "What the fuck are you doing?" Because
Yeah,
like,
and that's when he got involved, being like, I haven't seen you guys around and this and that.
Right. So it's just
And,
like the whole thing is very sticky and unnecessary. That it didn't need to happen, but obviously, again, like this is they're trying to throw in this love story of like, okay,
And I guess it does
does it
make
take
sense
one
in it.
person to get you out of this life, make you
Apparently.
think differently? In this case, that happened to Ben Affleck.
And you can tell that
Falls in love.
he kind of wanted out to begin with, like after
yeah.
shit the fan with the other job, and he went there and he's like, I'm not doing anymore. And he's like, no,
Correct.
like you're in as long as I say you're in, basically.
Right. So after the second heist goes wrong, he's very skeptical about even continuing this. He almost tells her the truth about who he is, but then doesn't, of course, because this is what these movies do. The guy's about to say it, but then he doesn't.
Right.
And then the girl finds out another way.
How did you find it? The tattoo? Neck tattoo?
No. So what happens is the guy who they were supposed to kill when the second heist went wrong didn't die. He just was like heavily injured. He eventually like helped the feds, and they figured out that it was them four that are doing these crimes. But they didn't have solidified proof, so they're looking around. They're finding out all about these guys. They find out that the girl is dating Ben Affleck.
And
So John Hamm, is his name John Hamm?
Yeah.
They did an absolutely fantastic job of making him be the biggest asshole in this movie.
Yeah, he's a piece
so
of shit.
even though he's the one who's like trying to do the right thing and be a good cop,
Right.
he comes off being the biggest piece of shit.
Right. So he goes, all right, well, let me just, okay, so you're dating this guy? Okay. And then he goes to her house, tells her, I'm looking for these four suspects from the bank that you were at, and here's who they are. Shows her the pictures.
The pictures, that's right.
And then to add insult to injury, he goes, interesting that you're the one that opened the safe at the bank. You're also dating one of our main suspects.
Right.
You didn't get hurt, making
Were
it
you in on
seem
it?
like
You were
were
part
you
of it.
in on this?
Yeah.
So
Right,
immediately she freaks the fuck out.
Oh, that's actually a very good, safe assumption.
right.
He's actually a brilliant detective because that's how he gets Blake Lively to flip too.
Yes. Yeah. Blake Lively.
It-
right. So
he's
Blake
just- he's
Lively
smart at
is the
manipulation.
sister of Ben Affleck's best friend.
Yeah,
And they had
Jeremy
been-
Renner.
Yeah, Jeremy Renner, and Ben Affleck and her had been dating and doing
They have
shit
a
their
kid
whole lives.
together.
Yeah, they had their whole lives. They've been going on and off, but he obviously doesn't love her.
No.
She's a fucking junkie.
Right.
So he finally, he actually falls in love with this chick. He starts to realize maybe if I get out now, I can take her with me because I'm in love, and I can be done with this because this is now a reason for me to get out of this. He goes, all right. He tells his buddy, I'm out. His buddy, Jeremy Renner, gives him this whole sob story of, okay, but just so you know, like this should be the last one. It's the big one. And I helped you. I got your back that one time, and apparently,
didn't he do like a jail stint?
Yeah, so he
him?
went to jail in 9 years defending Ben Affleck from a guy that was going to go to try to kill him.
So their relationship really
point,
is fantastic.
Right.
I love Jeremy Renner in this movie.
So at that point, Ben Affleck is like, all right, fuck, what do I do? He eventually decides to do it, but only because the girl finds out who he is.
So it's just like,
The
fuck
girl
it anyway,
finds out
huh?
who he is. He goes there, and she's like, get the fuck out. You're a piece of shit. Like, I don't want to ever see you again, whatever.
Right. Okay. This leads to
And
fucking.
I feel like in cliche movie fashion, he was about to tell her, and
Yes.
he didn't, and then they slept together like literally in the same scene.
Yeah. That was
So it's
earlier.
almost like,
That was
oh,
earlier.
like, you just want to bang me and this and that.
Yeah. She's like, oh, so this is what you do? You rob people, and then you bang them, you fuck them, like whatever.
But does the fight result in a bang?
No.
Okay.
He leaves. He has to leave.
Okay.
She's legitimately
She
angry.
kicks him out,
All right.
and that's when he's like, well, screw it. Then if
So then he
I don't
goes,
have her
"Fine,
anymore,
fuck
I'm
it.
just...
She's not gonna be with me. Then I'm gonna fucking do this last robbery. So then he goes, yes, he does it, and then we get to the Fenway Park robbery where they're supposed to rob $3 million from the stadium. Very well planned out.
Yeah, and that's what I was gonna say.
Love
Like,
the
so
plan.
you understand that these guys are professionals. Each of
Yeah.
them has a niche, and they
Correct.
do it very well. Like, they have the one tech guy that can
But that's
get into the
that's
camera
one
system.
of the cliches of these heist movies.
Right.
When you have a group, you always have the specific guy that does the specific thing very
Exactly.
You
well.
also
And that- and
have
that-
the wild card.
The wild card,
Right.
which is Jeremy Renner in this.
Jeremy Renner's the wild card, 100%.
So you have the guy who's, in this case, you have the guy who's the driver, the one guy who's the wild card, I guess, more aggressive Jeremy Renner type.
The guy
main
that
guy
like you. Right, the brain. You got the brains,
Right.
the wild card, the tech guy, and the driver.
Yeah.
And,
And,
your
uh,
lead pretty boy.
And, yeah, of course, the lead for
Right.
of course.
So the
Go ahead.
I was gonna say, like, you know, these guys are professionals, but then you really see the scale of it in this last robbery, where
Yes.
they have all of these uniforms. You know what the plan
Yes.
is. They know, they're supposed to change.
Like
They're
this is
supposed to.
this is deeper mafia stuff. This isn't just like us, a couple of ragtag like dudes.
No,
This
these
is like-
guys-
you can tell this goes deeper than just these four guys.
Right.
Because
They have everything
all the
planned.
equipment, all the uniforms. This is a mafia thing, a deeper thing.
Right. They have schematics of the stadium.
Right,
they
right.
know the exit points, the hit points. They know where to be hidden.
It was all really well done, except for that John Hamm got to Renner's sister. He gets to Blake Lively.
Right. He got to Blake Lively, and that
She
screws
ratted.
everything up.
She ratted, said what they were doing, and they performed the robbery almost perfectly until the end when they're like about getting ready to leave. And then Ben Affleck realizes, holy shit, there's nobody in here. This is
Right.
really
Exactly.
quiet.
They realize it's too quiet.
It's too quiet. He looks out the window. All of the police in fucking Boston are sitting outside. So at that point, watching this, you're thinking, okay, there's no way they're getting out of this.
Right.
And at the very least, half of these motherfuckers are dying.
Yeah, like there will be casualties here.
Yeah. So of course, boom. One team comes in, firefight, boom, 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 boom. Two of your boys are dead. So now you've got the two main guys, two main characters. They're the ones that have to get out. Jeremy Renner does his wild card shit, walks around, starts fucking shooting up the place with his bag, and then gets just demolished with
It
bullets.
just gets lit up. And it's like that seems crazy because they're both dressed as cops.
Yes.
There's tons of cops everywhere.
Yes.
So it's like, all right, how do we sneak out of here?
Right. And they almost fucking do
They
it.
almost do it. Again,
If Renner doesn't have that big ass duffel bag of cash, John Hamm won't think, oh,
Wait a minute.
he's a bad guy. Why is this guy walking away?
And
But he's
why is he
walking
walking away? Right.
He's walking away, and he has a fat stack of cash. So, of course,
So that firefight happens.
Right.
I love how Affleck basically knows
yes,
this is going to go wrong. So he gets away,
out.
obviously.
Yeah.
He goes right to the florist. He's like, oh, it went bad. And he kills the florist. He kills the florist's
because
henchman.
Yeah, at this point he realizes Ben Affleck it comes to a point where this is like a fork in the road for him. He realizes I can either help my friend, which means I'm going to probably go to jail or get killed, or I can just let him do his thing because he's going to die anyway.
Right.
And then try to save my own life and get out of here. But the only way that he can get out of here is if he kills the boss guy who had them do the job.
Right.
So he goes there, shoots him up, and then runs. But he's in love.
Right.
Right.
Wasn't there something else with the florist?
Yeah.
Like
so,
Fergie, wasn't he also like giving information to the FBI or something like that?
No. The reason why he killed the florist, well, because he wanted to get away and he didn't want the florist to chase after him, but he's the reason why the dad was
in jail. That's right.
And
he says that he clipped his nuts by dropping him in acid.
Right. So he was like, "Fuck you," and then he shoots him in the nuts.
That was great because he wasn't dead yet, and it's like, hey, don't forget who clipped him.
Exactly.
Shoots him again in this piece.
So,
oh God, it's fantastic. Movie.
So Ben, one last ditch effort before he leaves, calls up his girl. Hey, I'm leaving. I got some, I'm ready to rock. What are you gonna do? But he's not an idiot. He knows what's happening.
Right.
He's watching her from afar. He sees that she's on the phone, but she's surrounded by cops.
By the feds. And that's why he...
So what does he do? He goes, all right, he's got to go. He acts like he's going to show up there, like he doesn't know anything. He fucking leaves, drops just a little note that says fuck off to the cop.
But then the thing is, she tells him what's up.
Yes.
By saying, yeah, that was awesome. That was a great play by her.
Little line that he knows that she knows that he's got to go, but that, she's on his side.
Right. Because there was a moment there where I was like, does she want to sell him out? Does she not want to sell him out?
Right. She doesn't want to sell him out, but she has to. She's surrounded by cops.
I think she has that little bit of a turn being like,
yeah.
I can't actually go through with this because I do care about him.
Right.
So
he ends up leaving a bundle of cash in the garden that she always gardens at.
With a little hint to where he's going.
With a little hint to where he is. Even though he knew he was going to Florida because he said he was going to Florida.
Right. He leaves her that little orange with a bunch of cash. And what does she do?
Man. He bounces with his cash, escapes to Florida, and you've got...
Yeah, but the thing is that the one of the last John Hamm lines is pretty indicative. Like he tells you do know we're like a national
organization.
Yeah.
Like
love that.
And it's
yeah.
And the fact of the matter is they're not. There's no happy ending for the two of them at all.
No.
Because he will get caught. The power of Ben Affleck has a limit. And
this isn't just some rinky dink cops in Boston.
Exactly.
It's the FBI.
The fucking FBI.
They'll find him eventually.
Right.
Can I tell you one of my? I was telling you guys before. There's a line in this movie which I think is probably one of the most badass lines in all of film, and it's you remember how what the hell's her name? Claire's telling Ben Affleck, oh yeah, like these guys that live in my apartment that are like they freak me out, like they're clearly like stalking me and this and that.
Yeah.
So he's like, oh yeah, so right. So like Ben Affleck's like, all right. So he goes to Jeremy Renner. He's like, listen, we have to go somewhere, and you can't ask me about it, and I can't tell you why we got to go there. And he's like, all right, cool. So they go to the house, and they work these guys over pretty good, tell them stay away from the girl.
Right.
And then Jeremy Renner goes up to one of them, and he takes his mask off. And he's like, hey, remember, you've seen my face, but I've seen yours too. And I just thought, that is the most bad. I want to use that line.
Absolutely.
It's some point in my life.
Absolutely.
I need to use that line.
There's literally saying, I have no fear that you know my face, because if I see yours coming at me, you're dead, basically.
Exactly. It's like, I've seen you, so I'll know if you're coming after me, my man.
If you try to retaliate, it's over.
That's why I love Jeremy Renner.
It's a great...
Jeremy Renner is...
Renner
good.
Absolutely kills it in this movie as this fucking annoying wild card that you want him to be a little more organized, but he's just all over the place.
Just have boundaries. I'm never really a big fan of the wild card. So as soon as I saw him in that first scene where they're like that tunnel, like after the heist, and he's just sitting there, I'm like, I already hate you.
He's great, man. I think he got nominated for an Academy Award for Best Supporting Actor from this
For that movie?
For this movie.
I think so. Yeah.
All right.
It was either an Academy Award or a Golden Globe. I'm pretty sure it was an Academy Award.
It's one of those awards shows, but he got nominated for this this performance.
Congrats.
But yeah, that was The Town is an awesome movie.
Really
And
good
again,
fucking movie. Really good movie.
Just being familiar with the city of Boston and stuff, I think there's all these like little landmarks of like, oh, I've been there, I've walked there, and then when they do that heist, when they're trying to do that getaway from the armored truck.
Yep.
If you've ever been to the city of Boston and you see where they're whipping these cars around these little side streets, there is literally no margin for error. These are I have hallways in my house that are wider than these streets, and they're whipping around a friggin'
It's so sick.
like a Suburban or something.
I remember watching the scene when the cars are going through, and I'm like, holy shit, we were literally there. We walked that we were walking those streets. It's awesome.
Right.
It's really, really, really good movie. I can't say anything nice about Boston, so I won't say anything at all.
God damn it.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair.
Is it though?
But good movie though. Good movie though.
Great
really
film.
well done. I appreciate that Ben Affleck really just like kind of drives home his like love for his city.
Okay, you know what? I
Yes.
will.
His area.
I think your
Yes.
city is pretty. I like your accent.
Sure. Sure.
And I think the fellas are delightful.
There you go.
We're
That
gonna
is
take it over.
5
We're
stars.
gonna take it over to my neck of the woods now, with Inside Man.
I am very happy that you chose this movie because
This is a Spike Lee joint.
Yes,
that
a
it
Spike Lee
is.
joint it is.
That
yes.
it is.
I picked this movie because I had seen The Town and The Inside Man before, but when I really think of like quintessential like bank robbery heist movies that are like super smart, this is the one that I remember the most because Clive Owen, who plays the main robber in this, just blows it out of the water with how smart and how well planned this is.
But this is a great crime cliche character.
Correct.
He really is. He's got an accent. He's very dark complexion.
Always calm, no matter
always
what,
calm.
because
Always
they're
calm.
always two
That-
steps ahead.
Always 2 steps ahead.
The
Correct.
only thing that was missing, and I'm glad Spike Lee didn't do it, but the only thing that was missing was that cliche figure of authority goes to him and says, and just how do you think you're going to get away with that? And then he takes a drag of his cigarette and then just looks him right in the eye and says, I already did. Like that kind of scene.
But there kind of is
There
something
is,
like that,
though. You're right.
because he does say, "I'm going to just walk
gonna-
out the front door."
Yeah. There is that criminal arrogance to it. Yeah.
That is the arrogance. That is the confidence that you need in your main heist villain.
100%.
If they don't think that they're going to get away at any point,
Correct.
then what's the point of even doing the job, my man?
Yes.
You have to have that
You kind of
confidence.
just described really a great intro to the last movie we have to talk about, but we'll get there. But yes,
So-
you need that cockiness if you're gonna.
Inside Man, starring, as you would guess, a Spike Lee movie. It's going to have Denzel Washington in it.
Gotta have Denzel. Denzel's great in this movie.
Denzel is the
He's a
His
great
wardrobe,
cop.
not so
He's
much,
been in a
but-
cop a lot of times.
He's the cop, but he's what's it called? The negotiator.
Yeah, he's a
That
negotiator,
supposed
but
to-
he's like third in command though. Like he's like third string. He got lucky today.
Right.
The other guy was on vacation.
So, Clive Owen, the movie starts beautifully with Clive Owen describing how he's doing like the perfect crime, and like it right away they get you with like these guys walking in, everything is perfectly planned. They have They have the suits. They have everything. They bring in bags of the same outfit for all of the hostages inside of the bank.
And I feel like that is a very key component of a successful
Huge.
robbery. You need to
Huge.
be able to blend into
Correct.
your
A wardrobe
hostages.
change?
Correct.
Oh yeah.
Because right there you're winning. If anything goes awry, you mix yourself into the crowd and they don't know who the fuck robbed that shit or not.
You have a really good chance of at that point getting away because you notice how they're interviewing all of the people throughout. So throughout the movie, you're seeing interviews with hostages,
right.
like clearly after this whole thing ends,
Correct,
and it all
correct.
kind of pieces together. And you even get to that point where they have to check out the two girls.
Yeah.
And they're like, well,
they're both like big breasted.
exactly. Like they're very voluptuous. So like they're like only one of you
But like
fit the
it's
mold.
like you see like the cops like eyes, the other cops
Just clearly fucking-
staring at her boobs.
Yeah. And like they're like trying to dance around. That's what like there's a little bit of comedic effect in this movie where it's like,
But like that's what Spike loves doing, that type of stuff too.
yeah.
But
I think you need that type of thing.
right. And again, like the way how I was saying before that the Ben Affleck the Town movie is such an ode to Boston. This to me is the exact same thing, but with New York. Spike Lee literally touches on almost anything, any New York cliche and any New York like thing. Spike hits it. Even adding the Albanian.
That was so perfect. I thought that was perfect.
The guy that he's like an Italian dude, but like
He's
his
like,
wife is Albanian, so she knows like.
And then she shows up with a bag full of parking tickets, being like, "You're gonna take care of these, right?
Right.
All right,
That-
I'll help you."
That reminds me of that this movie also does pay its admiration to New York, not so much to like the visual of New York, but also just the culture of New
Yes,
York.
that's what it is. It's the culture of New York.
The culture of New York, because
he touches everything about it.
the parking tickets thing,
Yeah.
the back and forth, the banter between the cops,
the banter, correct.
with the
full accent,
full accent,
banter.
the clue from Clive Owen, his little Riddler gimmick, and then
Yes,
everyone's like,
yes.
"How's it gonna be?
Yeah.
Just shut the fuck up! It doesn't matter." So, because I think the biggest misconception about having lived in the South and then having come back is that New Yorkers, people say like, "Oh, it's a mean city. Like people are mean." I don't necessarily think that it's mean in terms that it's ill-willed.
Right.
I think it's just that people naturally in New York are abrasive.
Right.
But it's not that they.
Abrasive works.
Yeah.
They're abrasive. So when their casual conversation sometimes just has a nice fluffed insult,
yeah.
Yes.
and it's
But even when you're walking down the street and you're clearly blocking the sidewalk, you're going to get a lot of fuck yous. You know what I
Right.
mean?
Right.
Exactly.
but
Because,
that
like,
person's not holding on to that rage. They dish the fuck you and then move on.
yeah, correct.
It's a unique. It's not.
Now,
It's definitely not for everyone.
if you reply back to the fuck you with your own fuck you,
Get ready for
then
some.
then you could get some back and forth. Then you get into the conflict.
Yeah.
and then you're going
Yeah,
okay.
and then things get crazy.
Things could escalate a little bit.
I also love the husband of the Albanian lady when he was like,
Yeah.
I didn't say no Albanian. Just my ex-wife was Albanian.
Yeah,
I don't want to
you
call
said
her.
you
She's
do Albanian.
insane.
No, I didn't. I
Of
say
course,
that.
it's and of course you've got he has to be a construction worker. Why? Because New York littered with construction workers all over the place. Why? Because they're constantly building shit.
Yeah.
So it's like
And
this.
Right.
It's like these. They really he hit the immigrants, the difference in all the people in the bank.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. You have
Jewish people. You've got
Jewish people.
the guy who's a Sikh. You've got all different cultures
People, right.
in this bank.
the one thing I did like about going back to the Albanian thing,
Yeah.
the way like he basically was like, well, this is New York City, so I'm sure if we play that thing on a loudspeaker, someone's gonna know it.
Yeah, exactly.
And sure as hell enough, the security or the construction guys like, yeah, I got it.
Exactly. Yeah. So Clive Owen has his ragtag group of guys, but they're not really ragtag.
and gals. No,
And
they're not
gals.
ragtag at all.
No,
They're
they actually know what they're doing. Yeah,
They know what they're doing.
So they go into this bank. They knock out cliche number one. Knock out the cameras.
Knock out the cameras.
The way,
sure.
in the way,
I say cliche, but like that's literally something you have to do.
What else
You
you gonna
have
do?
to do that.
You quit if you forgot that part.
Right. You gotta go in there. You gotta knock out the cameras.
I wonder who's inspired to rob a bank from these movies. But okay.
Oh, I watch these movies and it makes me want to rob a bank every time I
Don't
watch
say
these
that so
movies.
loud.
it really puts really good ideas in your head.
It really
I
does.
mean, really bad ideas.
It
but
really does.
I remember like after watching The Town, going back to that, like I was like, yo, let's just knock off something, man. We can do this.
yeah.
I will say this. I would never attempt to rob a bank. I don't have that kind of a spine. But I will say if I'm working at a bank or if I'm at a bank while it's getting robbed, a part of me is going to do like a nod first, like, okay, this is your choice. You're doing this right now. And it's like, I'm not going to, you know how because another cliche is always the gun in someone's face saying, don't try and be a hero. I'm like, I would never. Do you want help packing the money? I'll help you take it to the car.
If I'm working at the bank and we're getting robbed, bro, take the cash.
I'm
Go
helping
ahead.
you.
Here's the cash.
Go for it.
If you want to slip me a couple extra hundreds for helping you make it easier, I wouldn't be opposed.
Oh, you'll absolutely see me putting a stack in my back pocket as I'm entering the register.
Absolutely.
Just thinking, I need
Spot
something for the
me,
kids.
just get me ahead of 1 month of rent.
Yeah.
Just spot me
There
a
you
portion
go.
of that so I can
Correct.
get 1 month ahead. But this is your moment. Like,
Yep.
congratulations for this courage. And it's like, I would never. I want to live. It's not it's paper.
Your paper in your bank is not worth more than my fucking.
Or me being able
that's
to
why
get
that-
out of here at a reasonable hour to go to dinner.
Well, the one guy was like, I had Mets tickets tonight. Like, this sucks. And, like,
Yeah,
it's just
yeah.
like little shit like that. And then you have that guy who tried to be the hero that worked for the bank.
Yes.
Yes.
That's like, oh, I left my phone at home, and they call it. It plays Kanye, which again, it's
Yeah.
another great Spike Lee piece.
Yeah.
If I was in there, I would have been like,
middle-aged-
fucking Christ,
Yeah.
man.
Like, you
So-
dumb son of a, like, you knew it was gonna happen.
So the robbers, what again instantly gets you is once they come into the bank, they immediately take all the hostages because this is going to be a hostage situation.
Right.
And
then-
and they know ahead of time. A lot of times, these bank robbers, they walk in, they're expecting to rob the bank quickly and get out.
Right.
But
Just
something
quick
goes
cash flow.
wrong.
How it works
They do
also-
something
yeah.
stupid. Somebody trips an alarm. Whatever. The cops show up, and then it turns into a hostage situation. Because they have no choice. In this particular time, no, this was planned. They
Right.
wanted the hostage situation. Why? Because they needed to buy time.
They need to buy time, and also, some of the hostages in there, they're part of their crew,
Correct.
and they did a great job on.
Correct.
You
The
kn- you
people
don't
that were
really pick up
already
on
in
it.
the bank. Regular looking people were already part of the crew.
Exactly. So, like, you got the one guy takes his mask off and starts popping off.
Yes.
They drag him in the back room, but they think he's getting his ass kicked. Nah, get to work.
Correct.
And then
So-
you got the rabbi. The rabbi guy gets dropped in the.
Yeah, the rabbi to me was the one that surprised me the most. I was like, whoa, what? At the end,
And
when
then
they
because
finally tell you-
they're giving all of these statements to the cops, like you see the
Right.
snippets in the movie. And the rabbi's like, "I'll call my nephew for you, no problem.
Yeah.
If you're looking for a ring, I got you."
Yeah.
I mean, the rabbi saving the rabbi to the end is just ultimately like the touch. Like, even though you're the audience and you have access to all these different angles of
Correct.
the story, it's ultimately to communicate, I guess, that like Clive Owen's character even fooled you.
Right. Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
None of us really knew.
We all thought we knew what was.
Yeah, we were.
being
Although we
done
were
here,
in
but-
his like,
Right.
but right.
And
So-
that's the thing. They did such a good job. They give you little clues here and there because you see them digging in that storeroom. Trying to, and they're digging. It's like, are they digging an escape tunnel? Or are they digging because they know something's there?
Yes.
And then the guy's like, "Oh, that's a good-looking shithole."
Yeah.
And it's like, what?
shithole.
What? All
Why
right,
would
whatever.
you need a shithole? You know what I mean?
And
Like,
then when you
don't
get the
know.
big reveal at the end, it's like, ah,
Right.
I also have to give it to a character that I loved in this movie.
Oh, yeah?
By a little actress by the name of Jodie Foster.
Oh, Jodie Foster was so crucial in this film.
So
Why
crucial.
do I
Oh,
love
I
her?
loved
Because
her in this movie.
I love a good dead inside, hungry for power but being
Right.
fashionable while doing
Right.
it character.
She was so
this-
confident and powerful. It was
absolutely.
great.
This whole time, the movie starts, and you think, obviously, the robbers are the villains here. They're the robbers. They're the thieves. They're the ones that are doing this. But you find out that this isn't an ordinary theft. They're not trying. They didn't walk in there and they left all the cash untouched.
Right.
No single dollar was stolen, except for they got to the specific lock box,
safe
safety
deposit
deposit box of the owner of the bank. Why did they go for this lockbox? Because of what it meant to this guy.
It's a secret.
It's a secret. It is a box that is. There's no records of it. It doesn't exist.
Exactly, and that's
according to
why.
the records.
And that's why I thought even more so at the end, where they're kind of going around being like, "Well, nothing got stolen, this and that." Like, if the safety deposit box never existed,
Right.
even if they
Is
took
that a
something
theft?
from it, is that theft?
Yes.
If you can't back it up,
Correct.
it's
If there is
smart.
no record of it being there, then technically it shouldn't be theft if it was stolen.
Right. But
I
it- but-
mean, look, okay. I think the better question, like, because towards the end, it's a Spike Lee joint. I'm saying joint because
it's the social commentary that comes into the play.
It's if you're watching a Spike, even though I'm like, oh, this is like a really elaborate like psychological
Right.
heist film. I'm like, but this is Spike Lee. We have a commentary here.
Yeah.
And at least the question that I took from it by the time it's revealed what's in the lockbox, there was like a whole Nazi support thing.
Right.
The man that they were robbing when he was in his 20s,
right,
he's Jewish, but he helped the Nazis and based for some small cash, and that would lead to him getting his bank and his fortune and whatnot.
Right. He basically sold his soul.
He sold his soul.
He sold his soul
to
to
make
the
some-
devil here to make some money.
And he even says he's like, I was young and foolish,
Right.
And then
I
he
regret it every
says,
day. But
he says himself he spent the rest of his life trying to buy it back by doing
Right,
good
exactly.
deeds.
I mean, it went so far as to possibly, like, he even says this, I saw my friends, a full family of his friends being taken by the Nazis to the concentration camps, and he could have stopped them and helped them, and he didn't.
Yeah.
So it's
Now-
like, there you've got, at that point in your head, like, the price of a family's death is on his head.
And that's just one thing, like.
Yeah, and that's
and
just one specific
exactly.
example.
So it's
right?
like
It could have been more.
there's a lot.
Right.
What I want to ask you, besides in that box, besides the letter from the SS and all that stuff, there was obviously diamonds,
Yeah.
and it was also that Cartier ring.
Correct.
That everyone, I guess, was kind of after.
Yeah.
Did they? I might have missed it. Did they explain why that Cartier ring was so important?
They did. The ring belonged to, I think, someone in the family that was killed.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
So it's a very priceless, very valuable ring, but it belonged to that family,
Right.
I think.
Okay. And
One
then
of
there
the
was
families that died at the concentration camps.
Right.
Right.
And like this wasn't just a little rock. This
It was
looked
huge.
like a
I mean,
Oh, no, it was a
huge
banger.
fucking- It's a huge fucking
It was
rock.
a huge ass rock.
Yeah.
But like my question on the existential level. Well, first of all, just to backtrack a second, Jodie Foster's character obviously represents this commentary on organized chaos. She is doesn't believe in anything, any kind of moral code.
Yeah,
It's just about gains and
She also
Right. She's a nihilist.
She's also
yes, good word.
she is also used to kind of show that even the guys in the back end, the mayor, the police,
Everyone has a price.
yeah, everyone has a price,
Everyone has a
and
price.
none of these guys are clean either.
No,
You know what I
no,
mean?
it's, I mean, in the end of the day,
everyone- Even Denzel himself.
Denzel took it. Yeah, Denzel
Even
took a deal.
Denzel
Took a
himself,
deal.
who's supposed to be the guy coming in here trying to help the hostages, get them out, arrest the villain, the robber. He himself takes a deal from her to let her into the building.
And in that regard, there's also then you have to flip it to the guy who has his conscience so afflicted by what he did when he was in his 20s, which was 60 years before.
Yeah.
When at the end, when he's talking to Jodie Foster, and this is how rich these bitches are, that when Jodie Foster's like, he's like, well, he has a letter, what happens then? And it says, they try to blackmail you and we pay them and then it stops.
And that's it.
So this guy, and
It'll
it's like,
go away.
blank check, and because they're so rich, it's not going to be a problem. That you can tell it's just, so what? So he blackmails you, and we have to pay him a lot of money for it, and then the
Right.
problem goes away. It's not an
Correct.
issue.
like,
And
all right.
he went through all of this to clean his to protect his exposure, only
Right.
to find out at the end by Jodie Foster saying, "We're selling a building or something to Osama bin Laden's nephew, and we're putting you as a reference."
Right. But I think that
Ridiculous.
I don't think that was true. I think that was her explaining to him that she knows that he's like it's not. It wasn't a real scenario.
Oh, I don't. I
It was
disagree.
her. It was her kind of just like calling him a piece of shit, but herself and what they do, like they're all scumbags.
Right. Just like
You
this
know
is
what I mean? Like,
But I
This isn't a
think
big deal,
I don't
man.
think he.
Welcome to the club.
I don't think he knew. I think there was doubt in his mind because he told her when she said that because she said, we're helping Osama bin Laden's nephew get a skyrise," and he says, "You're obviously joking," and then she says, "I'm putting you as a reference," and it kind of even whether it's bullshit or not,
Right.
she reinforces it,
Yeah.
and then his reaction, the frustration, is her very.
it's been so many years, but to me, his frustration was like, people still consider me a piece of shit.
Or I no.
Or
I still consider myself
myself
a piece of
because
shit.
obviously that whole other thing's gonna go away. Clive Owen doesn't give a shit.
Yeah.
You know, Denzel probably doesn't care if he knows about. I mean,
Clive Owen's is clearly trying to be this like what's it called?
Robin Hood type guy,
Right.
Where he's taken from the rich because
Chaotic good.
they're pieces of shit.
yeah,
so,
it's a Joker type scenario almost, only with less
maybe less violence.
less violence and anger.
Yeah.
I think.
Oh, and the scene where they execute the hostage was so smart.
Wait, where he what?
So
Where they shoot the hostage.
Yeah, so
Oh my
Denzel
God,
comes
so
in the
good.
building and tries to trip him up to take
Yep.
him down. It's like, nah. So he's like, I want you to. Do you have eyes on the building? Yeah. Why don't you go up to the second floor? And they have this. And it's a. They find out at the end that it's a dummy with like a fake. Oh my! That
And
was
all
so,
the guns
everything
they were using were fucking toys.
were toys. Exactly. So like, and that's how they robbed the bank without robbing anything, killing anybody, anything. They didn't use a real weapon.
It was all they put on an act for 12 hours.
And so
the cops
Denzel's
bought
smart.
it.
Right, Denzel's smart. He knew that they're not going by the book. They want
Right.
to buy time.
Yes.
And that is the truth.
Yeah,
They
he
wanted to
realized
buy
that
time.
later. He was like, "Wait, these motherfuckers are just stalling us." So
And that's
all they were doing was just buying time so that they can create their plan of escape.
I wish I had.
You want to do? Should we get into their escape plan?
Yeah, I mean,
The brilliance of it.
Look, you buy yourself 8 to 12 hours, however long they were in there. You start building a trap door in the storage room.
Right. You make the storage room appear to be just that, a storage room. But what they're doing is they're basically building. Yeah, like a really small apartment, a closet, basically in the back.
They basically make the room about 4 feet smaller, and let somebody live in that little like hidden crevice for a week.
And that's exactly what he
And
did.
that's exactly what it did. He goes in there, doesn't come out until the next week. He hasn't showered, probably hasn't really eaten much.
No.
I think he just has a little bit of food in there,
And
he
he's
has a
shitting,
shithole.
he's shitting and pissing in that little fucking hole.
that hole.
So he probably smells like piss and shit too.
Absolutely.
Which is
but
why
he has-
I don't totally buy when he's like, I'm just gonna walk out of the front door. He walks out. I'm like, walking by anyone, I would have
clothes
gagged.
are wrinkled as shit.
I mean, at that point, though, it's New York. I mean, people fall on hard times.
he did maybe he sprayed some cologne
That's
on.
not gonna work.
For walking out of a building, it could.
All he needs is 2 minutes to get from that door outside.
Right.
And he literally runs in to Denzel coming in to investigate something.
Right.
And of course,
and also-
that gives you the big reveal at the end.
He has a little duffel bag with him.
Right.
In that duffel bag could be cologne, could be deodorant. So
Well,
even though he
had
didn't
a-
get to shower, he just reapplies the deo.
Right. He just he has everything he needs. You see, he's got a whole new change of clothes,
absolutely.
everything.
Here's my question. Though. Yes, he gets away with his little crime.
Yes.
The movie makes a lot of commentary about. There's a lot of overall commentary about like the means to survive. What's okay, what's not okay.
Right.
What really wears the line of morality. Even a little kid with his video game.
Yeah.
Morality.
Morality is big in this movie too.
What or even what is it?
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
it depends on what you believe or what you represent. Because you have the little kid basically admiring Clive Owen's character because like you're doing what you got to do to make your money, and then Clive,
that was a great scene.
amazing scene, and his
then Clive
worry
Owen
for
is
him
like-
playing this video game.
Right.
You have Jodie Foster's character who's like Fico said, a nihilist. She's just like, who gives a shit? It's just
Yeah.
about getting what you want, getting what you
Right.
need, and moving on. And then you have the only what seems to be the only moral conscious character is the guy who hates himself for what he did 60 years ago.
Correct. Yeah.
Right.
But this becomes my question. Redemption, how do you get it? When are you forgiven? Because he said it himself, and you see it in his office. He dedicated the 60 years
entire life to
doing
right.
good for humanity. And this is my little statement on this about the concept of redemption, why I think it is unattainable, regardless of what you do to try and clear a conscience of it. I do not believe there is a such thing as redemption unless you are able to own up to what you did that you feel bad about to the people or person that you did it to.
Right.
I understand in his case, the people had died.
Yeah.
But
Yep.
the only way to clear your conscience is confession. You have to
right, yeah.
to let someone know, I understand when I did A, it made you feel B.
Right.
I take ownership for my part. That's how
But
you
he never-
clean.
but he never did that.
He never did that.
He never confessed to doing his
No.
his issues.
No,
Right.
His mistakes.
He just kept doing all these
doing
other
good
things,
right?
thinking that would clear. And no, those are good deeds, but in a lot of ways, they're still selfish. You're
Right.
doing them for your own, so that you can sleep at night,
Right.
rather than. Which brings into the conversation, what is an actual selfless act? But we're not going to get into that bag of cats. But for me, like that's the biggest thing, because I think even in personal life, I've met a lot of people who you can see they hold all this baggage of something they're ashamed of or guilty of,
Yeah.
and they're doing all of these things and trying to do all of these accomplishments so they can feel better and feel like they're no longer that
But
person.
instead, just fucking let it out.
Just
tell
go to
people
the
about
person
it.
that you
Yeah,
hurt.
yep, yep.
Say, I'm sorry I did this.
Yep.
I think I participated this way.
Right.
Can you please forgive me?
Right.
That's how you clear your conscience of the sin of what you're considering to be a sin of what you did.
Yeah, absolutely. That's all he needed to do.
That's all he needed to
Right.
do.
And granted, yes, I think he still needed to do all the work that he did.
It was a good
I-
plus.
I think that it was. I think that that's still something that was necessary. This isn't just like I cheated on her and I feel bad about it. This is like the life of a number of people that
People,
died because of you. So that's a little
Right, because of you
deeper
and
than
your-
just saying I'm sorry.
your bloodlust. If you will.
Right,
It's not
but
really
I still-
bloodlust. He just took the blood money.
Yeah, but like it's still. I agree. It's something that he needed to he needed to speak out about it, be vocal about it, and do those things. Like,
Right.
hey, I'm donating this. Why? Because I fucked up then.
Yeah, and I
Right.
want to make up for what I did.
Right. Correct.
That's what there
Let
needs
people know why you're doing these
exactly.
things.
I do believe in people need to earn your story, but in terms of for his case, wanting to be this giant figure and bank owner, all this stuff, absolutely, there's power in being able
Right.
to own your fuck up,
Because
and then still
he's
trying
gaining
to
this power and this notoriety, but just that.
right
For like people, there's people out there that think that he's a hero,
a saint.
but he's not.
But he's not. No,
So it's still lying.
It's
regardless.
still a lie. Exactly. That's one of the
right.
biggest lessons I
Yeah.
took from it, and
Really-
that Jodie Foster is an excellent
really,
actress.
really,
She's
really,
great.
really good movie. Please watch it if you haven't seen it. Inside
Yeah.
Man, Spike Lee,
It's on-
Denzel Washington.
It's on
It's
what
on,
platform?
Netflix.
Netflix.
It's on
It's on
Netflix.
Netflix, right?
And so was The Town. So if you also want to see The Town, it's on Netflix as well. We'll finish off with Dog Day Afternoon.
Al Pacino.
Now,
A real outlier of these.
I originally we were gonna go with The Killing by Stanley Kubrick, which we'll probably do whenever we do another heist episode, because I heard that one was a classic. But this one I think was important because it isn't just your prototypical heist movie. And I wanted to watch something where everything goes wrong, I guess.
And that's exactly
Because
what happened.
I love Inside Man because he gets away with it.
It's the
it all works
clean,
out. It's
super.
clean,
Yeah,
clean.
you're there for the ride.
Right. And even The Town, still he gets away with it, not entirely, and he probably will get caught eventually. But
But he's still a
it's
perfect
still-
character.
For that moment,
in
he's a
terms
free
of-
man.
the ending is a happy ending, technically, kind of for both of them.
It's sure.
Not a bad ending.
Yeah.
Right.
A protagonist who knows what he's doing.
Right,
Essentially.
right.
Yeah.
This one here is
Oh God,
different.
no, this guy's a mess.
This is Dog Day Afternoon. I cannot tell you who the director is. I should have probably written it down. But
That
it
is,
stars Al Pacino.
Sidney Lumet.
Sidney Lumet. Okay. Sorry for butchering that. This is a young, I want to say young because he's has to be 30 something,
I think
It's
Al Pacino
1975, so yeah, he's
30 something, late 30s,
late
maybe?
30s, early 40s, I
40s?
would say, because he's 80 right now.
Yeah. So this is a younger-ish Al Pacino, but he actually looks like he's in his 20s here.
it might be
honest.
because this is technically before Scarface, I think.
I think so.
So he could be even
It's 45.
late 20s,
It's 45 years ago.
mid-30s.
And he's 80 now.
So just about 35.
So 35.
Yeah, he's 35, so he's mid-30s.
So he's this crazy. The movie starts. This crazy ass guy, a little disheveled, hair's all over the fucking place.
A little disheveled.
He walks into this bank. It's in Brooklyn, in New York, and in 1975. And he walks in. To stick up the bank. He's got a gun. He's got a gun in a box that looks like a gift. He walks in with two others. One guy is holding a little tiny pistol. The other guy's holding a fucking Uzi. And right off the bat, it starts off like this isn't going to work. The one guy holding the pistol goes, "Sonny, I can't do this." And he walks out.
It's like, yeah, but
He gives
shit,
him back the
man.
gun and walks out and then like leaves.
God.
So already off the rip, this is like these guys have no idea what the fuck they're doing. The people that work at the bank, it's all women except for one guy and then the security guard. They're like, Jesus, these guys have no idea what the fuck they're doing. Even the women are like telling him, like, why are you doing that? Like, why are you grabbing that cash? That cash is fake. It's like marked. Like, why are you grabbing that? Just take this. So
it's like, come on, guy.
Yeah. He's all over the place.
The fact that the staff members were trying to be like, and then like criticizing him and be like, you don't even know what you're doing. What was your plan? Like, what's your exit strategy? Like,
is this your first fucking robbery? For God's sake, come on, guys.
The guy was like, you have no idea what you're doing.
The
like,
woman too.
Like
she was like mad for him.
She was mad. Yeah, she was mad for him.
And I think
It's like, if you guys are gonna waste my time, you might as well do it right. Come on.
Same reason for what I was kind of saying before. Like, if you're gonna rob the bank, do it right so you can leave, so I can live my life.
Correct.
Like
correct.
Now we're all stuck in this situation.
So, he's putting all the cash in the bags, all this bullshit, and then for some fucking weird ass reason, he decides let me burn the fucking logs or whatever the fuck it is on the desk, but he burns it inside. So of course you're creating smoke. Of course now there's smoke coming out of the fucking windows and the little like chimney thing, which is a very weird thing to happen for a bank.
And that's how in Inside Man, the cops even knew what was going on because there was smoke coming out of the bank.
Yeah. Like, these are just, it's not a normal thing to come out of a fucking bank. It's not a restaurant.
Or why are the doors locked in the middle of the afternoon?
Right. So, of course, I think it's the insurance guy for the bank or whatever across the street sees the smoke. He obviously is going to call the cops. Cops show up, as per usual in these movies. They show up, and there's a billion cops around surrounding the bank.
Right.
And then there's a crowd. The crowd is great. The crowd aspect of this part of the movie is fucking awesome.
That's when it turns into like a three-ring circus.
Yeah,
You have
yeah.
the crowd
So
outside. You got everything going on
the
inside.
crowd there. The cops are there. It's rowdy. And Al Pacino's character's name is Sonny in this. He comes outside to talk to the negotiator. Mm-hmm. And the crowd is loving him. They're fucking cheering him every time he comes out. This is where he famously yells "Attica, Attica," and the crowd just starts fucking gassing him up even more.
And he
starts like throwing up his hands.
Loves it.
What a fucking mess.
But Al Pacino,
man.
What an actor, because he's one of those actors that just in all his performances is able to add nuances to the character.
Yes.
I can think of like there's so many obvious ways I can think of that someone could have played him.
Right.
And Al Pacino in so many moments, just how he leans against the door, how he stands when he's having a conversation, he's frustrated.
Right, yeah.
When he's on the ground and the employee lady's yelling at him because he doesn't have a plan, and he just does that like baby pouty lips, like he's gonna cry like a little kid.
Yeah.
Like it's brilliant. His portrayal of the character is really brilliant.
All of his twitches.
Yes.
His eye twitches, his mouth twitches as he's talking. You're obviously looking at a guy who's
so different
he's lost it. He's lost it.
So different from his Godfather character.
Yeah.
In Godfather, he's just stone cold sexy.
Correct.
Because how he exudes authority.
Yeah.
Right. He literally is just stone cold. That's a good way of putting it. He's like statuesque.
He's shot in this.
And in this, he's very much like, get the hell off me. What is wrong with you, dweeb?
So so the only guys left are him and then his boy
Sal,
right?
Also from Godfather.
Also from Godfather, yeah. So Sal is the quiet guy. He's he looks like he's the one that's there to like do the actual damage if somebody needs to get shot. Sonny doesn't look like the guy who's the violent one. He's just the crazy one that's devising this plan. So obviously the cops show up. They have to lock the doors. He's got 9 hostages. They're all kind of just like chilling inside. It's not really ever a threat.
Yeah,
like
it was
from
never,
the beginning.
never,
It's never really a threat for the people that are inside, the women that are inside or anything. The cops are doing all they can to get him to come out and to let the hostages go. He says no, like I'm not going to just give you guys the hostages. Then if I do, then I'm dead. So he's not entirely dumb.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Sonny is not entirely stupid. He's just like cracked out of his mind. He's all over the place. So it continues. Eventually, they figure out that, okay, what are we going to do? We'll give you, as we give you things that you're requesting, you give us a hostage. So he requests food first. So they give him food. He lets out one of the hostages.
Right.
He then later on, you start to kind of learn more about him. You learn that Sonny is married, has 2 kids, but then he's also married again to a dude.
Well, this is a conversation, and this is why I'm actually glad we put this movie here and not in the gay episode part 2, because and this is kind of like an off opinion that I have about Pride Month in general. It's how mainstream culture just tries to box in gayness to June, and then it isn't allowed to permeate other
Anywhere else,
streams of other genre streams at all.
Yeah,
and
no, I think this is great the way they did this,
because you don't know that truth until later in the movie,
right?
And I really appreciate.
And there's no difference in like how the movie plays out. Of like, doesn't matter who he's robbing the bank for.
Right.
Ultimately, it's just he's robbing the bank. That's what it's supposed to be about.
And I think in whether consciously or subconsciously, when you introduce gay characters, if you lead with that, then they become gay characters, as opposed to characters that happen to be gay.
Yes,
right.
In this case, that's what that is.
Although there's another caveat to this movie, and it's why I'm so like astounded. This was 1975, and they were discussing this. His other spouse is transgender.
Yes.
And
Leon,
who eventually becomes Elizabeth, is what she wants to. To become.
We don't know this. So how they do it is he tells the negotiator, hey, call my wife and bring her down here. So then they do, and he gives them the information of where the wife is.
Right.
But the information that he gives the cop is the information to the insane asylum where Leon is.
Leon is, right. So
they bring Leon, and the guy, of course, the cops are like making fun of the thing, and making fun of the situation, and they're like, he's been calling himself his wife this whole time, and they're like obviously laughing at him because he's a guy.
Right.
But then that's when you realize, oh shit, like he's married to Leon, or they got married at some point, and he's gay, or whatever it is.
But here's the thing, and this is why it's important to touch on this. Leon technically is not gay because
no. I'm talking about Sonny.
No, but he's not gay. I wouldn't even call him gay either, and this is where it gets a little. This is where these conversations are needed. Yes, physiologically Leon is male, right? So you can. Then sure. Then Sonny has probably a sexual attraction to the male form, if you will.
Sure.
But Leon identifies as a female.
Right.
And he calls Leon his wife. He doesn't call Leon his husband.
Right.
There could be 2 perceptions, maybe because this is before these conversations are really advanced in the mainstream. Maybe calls him his wife because of being more effeminate as opposed to calling him husband, or maybe just because recognizing that Leon does identify as a woman and is transgender, so giving him the title of wife as opposed to husband. I know people will be like, "Well, that's confusing." I'm like, "Suck a dick." But essentially, I think, man, 1975, and they put this, and it's a movie. I think that's so incredible and a true story.
It's a true story, yes.
Yeah, based on a true story.
Based on a
that's
true
right.
story. Yep.
And I have to give it to how they presented the relationship with Leon and the
The
first
newspapers
wife.
called him the gay robber.
Right. But then this goes to my point of how they introduced him in the movie.
Right.
And that they didn't bring that point up until later in it.
Yeah.
Because that is the problem with By
the time they introduced who his relationship is for, I mean who he's doing this for.
You
and
already
why
know
he's
Sonny as the person.
You already know Sonny, and you're already involved in what's happening here.
Yes.
So it literally doesn't affect it at all.
doesn't even
It's
affect it, right?
additional information
Yeah, it's
as
additional
opposed to.
information,
But this is the problem with society and culture when it comes to the concept of homosexuality.
Yeah.
We make it and we staple it as the entirety of a person's identity,
Right,
As
right.
opposed to just a component of.
Yeah.
And so just the fact that they called him the gay robber,
Yeah.
is just reinforces this very unfortunate truth. There's nothing wrong with being gay. Obviously, I preach about it all the time, but it is, for me personally, it is a frustrating thing when it tries to umbrella you
Yeah.
as just that,
Yep.
or the idea of like, this is my gay friend. Like, excuse me?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Just
you
my
don't.
friend.
They don't really do that
It's
here.
just my friend. You know what I mean?
You're
Like,
just your friend. You don't have to do that.
You don't have to
You
add
said
the gay in
it's
front
just
of it.
added information.
I
It's smart.
I do like that when presenting the two relationships, and that he did have phone calls back to back with Leon and the
his
first wife.
and his actual and his the woman wife.
The woman, the cisgender,
yes,
the
sure.
cisgender wife, cisgender female.
The
Is
woman that had his 2 kids.
the woman that is his first marriage,
Yeah.
that because they're back to back, you can see who he actually loves because
Yes.
of how he is able to engage those conversations.
Oh my God.
Leon's frustrating as well. Leon has mental
Yeah,
issues,
of
and the
course.
conversation is frustrating.
But you can tell that he's more patient with
That's
Leon.
the word. That's the word.
He's more patient with
Leon.
issues that Leon has. Whereas when his wife was talking to him, his first wife, he was like, I can't do this. I can't do that. I don't want to talk to you. I don't want to talk to you.
He's hysterical
Yeah.
having to talk with this woman, and it's
Right.
and
she
who
was
is
annoying as fuck.
who's obviously his mother, because the
Right.
mother, the actress who played that interaction outside
Yeah.
the bank, it is parallel to the interaction with the wife.
Right.
The
Correct.
franticness, even their appearance, how he reacts and engages the conversation.
Right.
He married his mother,
Yep.
as opposed to Leon, who he genuinely had affection for.
Correct.
And I think I really appreciate to see the scenes of the 2 calls back to back, because without having to be didactic with the audience, you clearly understand. In case there was any doubt of who he loved,
Right.
Leon was the person that he
Yes.
loved most.
Yes. I mean, just awesome. I like the way they did that. I like the way they incorporated that part of his life into the reasoning as to why he's robbing the bank. So we found out, okay, he's robbing this bank because Leon, he needs money. He's not a rich guy.
Right.
Sonny's not a rich guy. He doesn't make. He's not wealthy. So you've got this thing where he's got this conundrum of he's in love with this person. He wants to have the surgery.
The gender reassignment. So
Yeah.
Right.
And it's like $2,500. So what are you gonna do? You got to go rob a bank. What else is he gonna do? He's already crazy. Like, I think Sonny is already kind of nuts in itself.
Yeah.
Without the additional things that are going on in his life, in his relationships.
Right.
I think that he's kind of a nuts kind of person already. So to decide I'm gonna just rob a bank means that you're kind of crazy already.
Right.
For sure.
So then what happens? They find all this information out. The cops bring in Leon. They bring in the wife, his mom. Eventually, it's nighttime. They've been in there all day, and they say, okay, this is what we're gonna do. We're gonna give Sonny the bus, the limo that he wants, and the airplane that he wants. And already you're like, okay, there's no way that he's getting out of this with the bus and the limo, or the limo and the plane.
I mean, this guy's just a mess. There's no way this is working, period. So I'm just like,
Correct.
I'm waiting for the other shoe to drop.
Right, correct. So then you're just waiting at that point for when it's going to go over. This isn't a movie where at the end Sonny had this whole devised plan to escape.
No.
Premeditated. It was
Winging
just like
it.
he's just winging it. And then at the end, it's really well done. They bring in, and even the scene where they pull up the limousine / bus, whatever you want to call it, and Sonny checks it because he's like, I gotta check this thing to see if it's gonna like there's no secret shit.
It's like booby traps or anything like that.
Right.
Yeah.
And the guy who's driving it is this black dude, cool afro. He's chilling. He's laughing at Sonny, and Sonny's like, "All right, I want you to be my driver, not like one of the cops." But then you realize right there, like Sonny isn't that dumb. He's smart enough to still realize that, wait a minute, something's fishy here. And then he tells the black dude, all right, I don't want you anymore. Get out. Give me one of the other cops. Because the black guy was, in fact, a cop.
Right.
That was posing as just a regular driver.
Yeah.
So right there is kind of like that last little bit of like showing you he's not entirely dumb. It's
exactly. He's still got some sense to him.
It gave him some credit.
Right.
Yeah.
So him and then all of the fucking hostages. Get in the car. And like even just that scene alone is like so
That's
funny
hilarious.
because they're like all crammed into the fucking car.
Yeah, in the limo. Yeah.
I also have to say, I don't really know entirely. I don't think the movie communicated what the context of the relationship between Sal and Sonny was.
It was just
they were just friends.
They're just friends, yeah.
Yeah.
But Sal, no, they both. I believe it was that they both went to the Vietnam War together.
There you go.
And then Sal, after the fact, did time in jail for another thing that he did.
Right.
So Sal was already just like they were both. I think they're both nuts from
The Vietnam.
more than likely
From
the
Vietnam,
war.
yeah.
Makes sense. But I really appreciated, again, the subtle detail to the friendship of the two of them.
Right.
There was one, because Sal is obviously a man of few words.
Yes, he doesn't barely speaks throughout the movie.
But there's that moment where there's a boyfriend in the crowd who runs up and punches Sonny.
Yeah.
But the bank manager comes out and is like, oh, he's going to shoot, like he's serious.
Yeah.
And he has to come in and reassure Sal that he's okay.
Right.
And you can see just the worry on Sal.
Right.
But even then back in the car, and it almost, I don't know why, it made me really sad to see as they're getting to the airport, Sonny, as they're getting to the plane, he kind of, and it's also because he's so small with the giant gun.
And throughout the whole movie also, Sonny is reassuring Sal the entire time.
That's what I was going to go to.
Yeah.
Is
He's
that
just like, Sal, we got it. Sal,
look at that.
It's working.
Sal.
Sal, it's doing this. Like,
and that's what I mean, like in the car.
you feel so bad for.
There's something heartbreaking
Yeah,
about
it
it.
is, it is.
It's seeing Al Pacino's tiny frame with the giant gun in the front seat looking like a child. And then Sal in the back looking so nervous and out of it and scared and sweating like a beast. And you have, there's like, Sal, look at it. That's the plane. That's it, Sal.
These two like young guys that are just kind of crazy, and you know it's not going to end really bad for them.
It actually really did make me profoundly sad. There was something
it
about
was tough.
just that.
Right.
I don't know too much about.
They almost legitimately think that it's actually going to work.
That they're going to get out of there. Yeah.
Like they pull up and they're like, oh, and you see their excitement. And you're like, oh God, you idiots! You're not going to.
It's like, you know this isn't going to work, guys. Come on.
There's no way you're getting
So
that
of course,
plane.
you know, the cops had a plan. There was a secret gun. They pop Sal first. Why? Because Sonny was never a threat.
No.
It was always Sal, because Sal was the one that looked crazy and had a gun and had done prior crimes.
Yeah.
So, boom, kill Sal, arrest Sonny. That's all she wrote. You know what I mean?
That's it.
So,
It's a well done movie, especially for the time. Again, like just touches on so many things.
Good
that
movie, true story. Actually, I'm gonna do a little research and find out what parts of it were true or not.
I understand that
I know there's
Leon
a lot
did
from
get the surgery.
He did.
He did.
Yes, Leon eventually did
Okay.
get the surgery. Yeah. And I think he served. I don't know. I don't remember how long he served for the crime. But I did try to read some stuff on it. But
I'm gonna look it up and once I.
The main thing that concerned me that Leon did get the surgery and
Right.
went by Elizabeth after
Yeah,
that.
that's awesome. It's cool. He left. There's one scene in the movie where Sonny's writing his will, and he leaves money to both.
That's right.
To both wives,
Yes.
and he leaves the money. He's like, I want the money left for Leon to get his surgery, and then the rest to go to the wife that has the two kids.
That's right.
And I thought that was a great little touch too, like him just like this is leaving what he was going to have left of his life
Yeah.
to them. So It was really good. Al Pacino is just such a fucking good actor. It was really well done, really well
I need
acted.
to see more Al Pacino shit.
Anything he's
Holy
in, man,
shit.
is great.
The man is incredible.
Chameleon for sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, yeah, that's it for today. Next week we'll do Aliens. And that's what we have on the schedule.
But we're shifting up our strategy a little bit.
Our strategy. So from now on, it's going to be each one of us is going to pick a movie.
Yep.
We're going to bring it to each other. We'll say like before the weekend starts or when the weekend starts, that we all have time to watch them.
And we have to watch each other's film.
Because I don't want to. It's tough. It's been pretty tough recently because I've been leaving some of the movies for like last minute.
Yeah.
And then like I'm watching it literally before the podcast starts, and I don't want to have to do that.
Yeah.
Right. You just kind of want to have the time to do it. So,
So
we'll do that earlier.
Yeah.
And it's easier when you're only responsible for one to come up with one movie.
Right,
you just
right,
have to
right.
watch
Yeah, correct.
the other two people.
So let's say by Friday night we should all, or Friday or Saturday we should all have our movie picked, and then we'll just tell each other what it is, and then
Aliens.
And we'll go into it.
So
Yeah,
this
sounds
week,
good.
next week coming up, aliens, extraterrestrials, whatever the hell you want to call it, outside of this planet. That's what we're doing.
A lot of good stuff to choose from.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm excited to see where we go with this.
All right, boys. Check you later.
Later.
Later.